Some breaking news to start off on this Thursday morning.
A house fire in Phoenix appears to be a case of arson. Tess Raffles joins us live this morning from 31st Avenue and Cactus with some of those details. Good morning, Tess.
Good morning, guys. You can certainly see the damage here right behind me, and at this point, Phoenix fire officials believe this is indeed a case of arson. In fact, they say that there's evidence around that vehicle, the van that's right under the carport there, of an accelerant, some type of accelerant they believe that started this fire. This all happened at about 2 o'clock this morning. When our crews got here on scene at first, you could see heavy smoke coming out through this house. Firefighters say the flames quickly spread from that vehicle into the house and up into the attic, pretty much destroying this home. Now, at the time, there were 4 people in this house, 4 roommates, 3 men and a woman. And according to investigators, they were sound asleep when this all happened. But luckily, a police officer who was actually driving around patrolling the area heard an explosion, as did several of the neighbors. So several calls came into the 911 center, and that's how crews were able to get out here quickly. A neighbor apparently is the one who woke these folks up by banging on the door. She was able to get them out safely. But again, fire officials say this looks to be indeed a case of arson.
It appears for sure somebody lit that vehicle on fire. That's what started the fire and extended into the house. And with this information we have, with some altercations out here, and what appears to be a previous attempt at actually lighting the same vehicle on fire, we do believe this is an arson fire.
And that, just to go on further on what the fire investigator there was saying, apparently there had been some type of fight between who they are calling a person of interest. They're looking for that person right now, possibly, or they may have this person in custody. We haven't been told yet, but they do believe they know who possibly started this. It was someone who got into a fight with one of the residents at this home. So we'll be following the scene, and also coming up at 5 o'clock, we'll hear from that neighbor who woke up and these folks and got them out safely. Back to you.
Thankfully, they're safe. All right, thank you very much, Tess. Speaking of safe, it's pretty safe that we can wear shorts and flip-flops the rest of this week, huh?
Yeah, but that is eventually going to change. It's starting to, I know. But at the same time, do you really want summer to be just around the corner?
No, but this is cool.
This
the
is
pause button, if we just hit that pause button, I think we're all good.
79 was our high yesterday, if you can believe that. Many spots across the valley and the deserts of the state even got into the low 80s. This morning, we're in the 40s and 50s out there. 49 at Scottsdale and Tempe, 55 right now at Glendale, and 59 downtown. Here's how we're going to warm things up today. We're going to drop it down about 4 degrees, still 75. Not a bad forecast. We'll be in the mid to upper 60s by lunchtime. And we're going to see an increase in some clouds today, but we're just talking some thin high clouds, no storm clouds. Things are going to stay dry and they're going to stay warm. So get out and enjoy it. Yeah,
this is the time of year you wear layers like you were in the high country, because you start with a little jacket and by the end of the day you're in shorts and flip-flops.
Yeah, and if you're lucky to have one of those sunroofs or a convertible, wow, what a great time of the year to have one of those and open that bad boy up. Hey, you know what? We're looking pretty good out there, but we do have one problem we need to give you a heads up on. Let me take you to the Northwest Valley. This accident is in El Mirage. It's reported on Grand Avenue, right where it meets Greenway. So if you're getting ready to head out in El Mirage, watch out in this area.
4:33, a Phoenix woman is fighting for her life after police say her boyfriend stabbed her 10 times. It happened overnight near 7th Avenue in Madison. Police say neighbors heard a woman screaming, and when officers arrived, they found that woman with multiple stab wounds. She was rushed to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Police arrested her boyfriend, who had blood on his clothing. Now, according to police, he did admit to that stabbing. This morning, police are investigating the death of a well-known Valley radio personality. Former KTAR morning host Bill Haywood and his wife were found shot in a Scottsdale hotel. Police say yesterday the bodies were discovered by a maid at the Homewood Suites on Scottsdale Road. A note was also found, and police are calling this a death investigation and are not looking for any suspects. Haywood had a distinguished radio career which stretched back to the 1960s. Now, court records indicate in recent years Haywood and his wife Susan had some financial hardships.
The ethics hearing for State Senator Scott Bungar gets underway in just a few hours from now.
The Peoria Republican could be forced out if found in violation of Senate rules. Now, that complaint stems from Bumgard getting into a domestic violence situation last year on the side of State Route 51. Bumgard allegedly got into a fight with ex-girlfriend Aubrey Ballard. He avoided arrest that night by claiming legislative immunity, then took a plea deal to avoid jail time. Bumgard contends the ethics proceeding is unfair, but Tuesday a judge refused to block it. Up to 30 people could be called to testify, including Bumgard's ex-girlfriend. And a victory this morning for supporters of medical marijuana. A federal judge threw out a lawsuit aimed at striking down the state's voter-approved law. Last year, Arizona voters passed Proposition 203, which gave sick patients access to medical marijuana. Governor Jan Brewer then filed a lawsuit that stopped medical dispensaries. Governor Brewer was concerned state workers who helped regulate marijuana sales could face federal prosecution, but yesterday a judge ruled the state had not proved a genuine threat of prosecution. Governor Brewer has 30 days to refile.
Show me the proof. That's what Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio is telling the Department of Justice in response to claims his office racially profiles and discriminates against Latinos. Late last year, the Department of Justice announced that its 3-year investigation of MCSO uncovered a pattern of civil rights violations. The sheriff was given until yesterday to decide whether to work with the DOJ to make changes or else face a lawsuit. Arpaio said he would cooperate, but he's also asking for the facts, proving the findings in writing.
We want them to give us any documentation, emails, whatever, so we can look at it, work together, see if it's accurate.
The Department of Justice tells 3TV it stands behind the findings and will not hesitate to go to court if MCSO doesn't act in good faith. The man at the center of an MCSO controversy after he died at a county jail has been laid to rest. Funeral services were held yesterday for 44-year-old Ernest Atencio, an Army veteran. Atencio was arrested for assault last month and was later found unresponsive in his cell. His family says deputies tased him and used excessive force, but MCSO says Atencio was combative and detention officers took the appropriate measures.
And speaking of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, well, a judge has ordered Steven Seagal's production company to release video of an MCSO raid he participated in at a Levine man's home. Now, that man's attorney says the video is proof deputies used excessive force in the name of reality TV. This is new video of deputies and posse members, including actor Steven Seagal, preparing to serve a search warrant at the home of Jesus Levora last year. Now, Levora was suspected of cockfighting, but as you can see here, dozens of posse members are seen breaking down doors and windows. MCSO contends they believe Levora was heavily armed. However, his attorney argues the entire raid was staged for the benefit of Seagal's reality show.
They knew all along that my client was unarmed. They knew all along that he was home alone, and they knew all along that he posed no threat. Yet that doesn't make good TV.
Levetta's attorney estimates that raid caused more than $100,000 worth of damages. MCSO maintains they did nothing wrong. Charges against Levetta were later dropped.
In today's court report, sentencing for a Valley couple accused of leaving their infant in running water. Summer Dawn Angeli and her boyfriend Jason Anchondo both have pleaded guilty to child abuse. Prosecutors say the two punished the 11-month-old boy for soiling his diaper by leaving him in a motel bathtub. They left the water running and went back to bed. The baby nearly drowned. The trial continues today in the case against a former Phoenix police officer accused in a string of bank robberies. Prosecutors say Chad Golding used his police training to get away with more than $130,000. Golding quit the force 6 years ago while being investigated for steroid use. He's pleaded not guilty to those charges. Closing arguments in the case are expected for mid-January. And a Phoenix man has been sentenced to life in prison for a brutal revenge murder. Booz Moreno, along with 2 other men, were accused of killing a man in 2010. The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office says they beat and stabbed the victim, then slit his throat and set his house on fire. Moreno was given the possibility of parole. He will also face a 7.5-year sentence for aggravated assault.
Today, the issue over billboards in Phoenix will once again be before the City Council. Late last year, the council voted on new rules for billboards using LED lights. Existing ones could stay, but companies wanting to convert static billboards to digital would have to take down 2 existing billboards for each trade-in. At noon today, the Board of Adjustment will hear 3 appeals. One group is still working on a ballot initiative to ban new billboards entirely. And in Tempe today, city officials will be discussing whether to spend $68 million on a new steel gate for Tempe Town Lake. The new hydraulically operated gate would replace the rubber bladders that are already in place. Now, desert temperatures shortened the life of those rubber dams, and as you know, back in 2010, one of the bladders burst and drained that entire lake. That steel gate dam would cost nearly $36 million to build and an additional $32 million to maintain over the next 50 years. If approved, construction could begin by 2013. Well, in recognition of Arizona's upcoming centennial, the state capitol grounds has undergone a makeover, and today is the big reveal. A team of community leaders will officially unveil the results of their united effort to beautify Arizona's Capitol Mall and Wesley Bolin Plaza this afternoon. Governor Jan Brewer and Senate President Steve Pierce will be in attendance. And having spent a lot of time down at the Capitol, those guys out there, they've been working around the clock, and every time they're like watching, you get out of the truck like, don't step on on that grass. So it looks good over there.
It does look good.
It really does, yeah. Well, coming up on Good Morning Arizona, a teenager is shot and killed at a school. Now police are defending their actions, why they say they had to shoot.
Plus, she's an American citizen, not even 15 years old, but she is trapped in a foreign country. How a Texas teen was mistakenly deported.
And higher education coming to the East Valley. We'll tell you about a new university in the works. .44 from the CNN News Desk this morning. 1 police officer in Utah is dead and 5 others were hurt after they were shot while serving a search warrant. Witnesses heard what sounded like automatic gunfire, and police say it was someone opening fire on members of a narcotic strike force. That gunman was also shot. The officer and the shooters were rushed to a hospital. 1 officer died. Still no word on the extent of the other injuries. Well, in Brownsville, Texas, police are defending their decision to shoot and kill an 8th grader on school grounds. Investigators say the 15-year-old was armed and walking through a school hallway when they confronted him. That boy allegedly refused to drop his weapon, so officers shot him. Turns out that weapon in the teen's hand was a pellet gun. No one else was hurt during that incident. A judge has ordered an autopsy of that teen's body. Well, a Texas teenager is trapped in a foreign country after she was mistakenly deported. This all started when 14-year-old Jakardrian Turner ran away from home. Now, she was upset over her parents' divorce and her grandfather's death. But Turner was picked up for theft and apparently gave police a fake name, which belonged to an undocumented immigrant. Well, ICE took her fingerprints, but somehow did not confirm her identity and then deported her to Colombia. Now questions are raised about how an African-American girl who speaks no Spanish was mistaken for a foreign national. ICE says they're looking into that matter. We'll talk about a wild ride. Check out this video right here. This car landed on a roof in Fresno, California. Police say a driver was speeding and missed a turn. He hit some rocks and a tree stump, then went airborne, landing on the roof of an apartment building. The driver was spotted running away wearing only boxers, but police did catch up with him. Fortunately, nobody was hurt.
Now, your 3TV weather.
4:46 now on this Thursday morning. We're getting closer and closer to the weekend, and our weather is beginning to change. I know, like Javier said, we all wish it could just last forever in the mid-70s, but yeah, it's about to get a little bit colder. It's 50 right now if you're headed out the door. Winds out of the southeast at 5 miles an hour. 48% relative humidity. Around the valley this morning, 44 at Avondale, 45 at Litchfield Park and Buckeye, 48 at Tempe, and mid-50s at Mesa and Gilbert. 56 at Scottsdale, 18 degrees this morning in Flagstaff. A little cooler this morning. We've got calmer conditions and clear skies. 29 at Prescott and 43 at Globe. Just 23 to start your day in Show Low. Satellite and radar shows the storm track continues to stay to our north. We continue to stay warm and dry under a ridge of high pressure. However, that ridge is starting to flatten out just a bit, or it's going to start to today and over the next couple of days as these systems continue to sweep by. Then one looks like it's going to come close enough to us on Sunday and into Monday to bring a slight chance of rain to parts of Arizona. Still don't think we're going to get any in the valley, but it'll bring us a bigger cool down. Today, partly sunny and a high of 75 degrees. We're going to see an increase in some high cloudiness today. Those will stick around throughout the evening hours too, bringing up our overnight lows just a bit. Upper 30s to upper 40s around the valley. Tomorrow, we'll stick with those high clouds and a high that's a little bit lower, still in the 70s, but the low 70s now. And then your 7-day forecast shows low 70s, high clouds for Saturday. Same for Sunday, although a little bit cooler, 67 degrees. Sunday also likely to be a little on the breezy side as that dry system passes through. Upper 60s for Monday and a little bit of a warm up as we get more into next week.
It's 4:48. Happy Thursday to you, or what we like to call it around here, happy Friday Eve. Let's go ahead and get a check of your traffic. I want to take you to the west side of town. We're looking pretty good out there. This is a live look from the camera at I-10 and 59th Avenue. And on the left-hand side of your screen there, that's the inbound side or the eastbound side. Right now, we're looking pretty good out there. At this point, and no problems here on the west side. East side looking good as well, but the traffic department's keeping a close eye on things. I promise. I'll give you a heads up if there's trouble out there.
And handling your business right now, stocks ended with little change yesterday. The Dow gained 21 points. The S&P also rose, but the NASDAQ closed slightly lower. Well, the big three automakers posted big gains for the month of December. Chrysler led the pack with 37% jump compared with only a year ago. Ford reported its best December sales in about 5 years with a 10% increase. And GM rounded out the big three, posting a 4.5% gain for the month. The big three U.S. automakers also reported a bigger share of the market for the full year. That's the first time that's happened in decades. Well, not such a positive outlook for Kodak. Shares of the company dropped sharply yesterday following a report that Kodak is preparing for a possible bankruptcy. The Wall Street Journal reports the company could file for bankruptcy if it fails to sell a number of digital patents. Kodak's share had already dropped about 92% over just the past year alone.
Your latte already costs more, and now your bacon and eggs may too. Denny's says it's considering a price hike this year. The company hasn't said when or how much, but that announcement comes one day after Starbucks said it was increasing prices on some of its beverages. Both companies blame the rising cost of ingredients for those price hikes. Well, good news if you're a donut fan, there will soon be more Dunkin' Donuts for you to visit. The company says it plans to double the number of its U.S. locations over the next 20 years. Dunkin' Donuts currently has nearly 7,000 stores across the country, and each new store is expected to add 20 to 25 full and part-time employees. Now, you might need to recheck your grocery list. There is a nationwide shortage of organic milk. Major grocery chains say they're running low, and some have already started raising prices. The price could shoot up as much as 10%. According to the New York Times, the cost of organic grain and hay for feeding cows on organic farms has risen sharply. So as a result, farmers don't feed their cows as much, and that leads to lower production of milk.
And speaking of going up, insuring your home could cost you a little more. An insurance industry insider says home insurance premiums will likely go up due to all the recent natural disasters. Hurricane Irene and all those tornadoes have wreaked havoc on the insurance company's bottom lines. The insider estimates premiums will soon rise upwards of 5%. Well, the tax man isn't collecting as early this year. Yesterday, the IRS announced it is pushing back tax day by 2 days. That's because this year, the deadline, April 15th, falls on a Sunday. So you'll now have until the 17th to file your taxes. Didn't they push it back last year? I think they did. Yeah, because it fell on a Saturday, I guess. Yeah,
that's good news.
Good, 2 days, especially if you're a procrastinator.
I was going to say,
like me.
It's good news for all the procrastinators.
Well, new college might be moving right here to the valley.
Yeah, city officials in Mesa are in talks to bring a university to its downtown. It would be a branch of Benedictine University, a 125-year-old Catholic institution headquartered in Illinois. The mayor feels the school will bring students and jobs into Mesa.
We're excited about their diversity in their programs, their diversity in their student population, and the opportunities it will give the people who live here in Mesa, Arizona, and southwestern United States another opportunity to receive higher education.
Well, if a deal is reached, that campus would be located near Fiesta Mall. Classes would start in 2013. It's not too far out. That's next year.
Yeah, they better get to building,
Yeah,
huh?
no kidding.
Here's a question for you. Your husband's from Texas, right? Huge Longhorns fan. Hook 'em horns. Well, still ahead. Here's the question. Where do you go to find the world's longest Longhorns?
I don't know. Apparently it's not Texas, where you'll find this fella coming up. That's right.
Great music.
Move over Texas. The world's biggest set of longhorn horns aren't found in Austin or anywhere else in the Lone Star State. The record-setting bovine resides in the land down under. These are the longest set of longhorns in the world. In Australia is where they're found. They span almost 3 meters. That's as long as a small car. The 7-year-old beast is bred from pure Texas stock, so it wasn't a stretch to call him Junior. He is part of the largest herd of Texas longhorns in Australia.
Good to know, huh? All right, more Good Morning Arizona when we return.